In the theory development and theory testing handout, it gives you an overview of what theories are about. This gives us the comparison between two different levels of theories. Theory testing gives you an idea of what it means to have theories that are well developed and broadly accepted, whereas theory development are ones that are just emerging. These ideas tend to be challenged in the field and not universally accepted. What I want you to do is read through this handout and look at the similarities and differences between the theory testing and theory development. Theories are just ideas, something that is not well known by an individual just encountering it. It's somebody else's idea, but the important thing is that it is just an idea. It is not something that we need to understand completely. We don't need to take on their frame of mind. We just need to realize that this is one way of looking at a particular area by someone who has studied the area quite well. The goal of the research for both theory testing and theory development is to make improvements in the knowledge of this particular area. And so theory testing, we just are looking at those incremental improvements, but knowing that the theory is pretty solid, at least for the current time period, because as we develop more knowledge in the science fields, we are more likely to see things differently, and so the theories change as to what is going to be accepted. So what we are doing is we're going to be building on the science. It's sort of like building a wall where we take these bricks and we're layering them up. And so every study that we do for theory testing is building this wall of knowledge so that we can have a solid basis to work off of. For theory development, the goal of the research is to basically identify key priorities and their relationships so that we can look at a particular subject and make predictions as to where we think certain things are going to go. So, for example, if we were interested in creating a diversity awareness program, then we would want to know what types or components of that program is going to be most effective. And so we would examine these different components in a variety of studies and look at outcomes as to, how well people understand the area, how well people tend to get along after the trainings, anything you can think of when it comes to an outcome in an organization, profit, efficiencies, whatever measures you want to use. So if we are looking at these particular variables and we find some that work well and some that don't work well, we would then try to implement the ones we think are most effective in a variety of settings or different organizations, and we would predict that it would have an effect on that particular company. And so we are not completely sure of all the variables. We're just still gathering a lot of information and testing it in that stage of theory development. So those are the key differences between theory testing and theory development. However, we need to understand that every single one of these theories or these ideas can be faulty, can be changed over time, and they're used to help us understand what is going on in our environment so that we can implement practices, we can implement programs, and make a reasonable assertion as to how effective those programs are going to be. So as managers, we're going to want to know how a variety of different programs and different elements within our organization are going to work together in order to enhance our profitability or that bottom line. So in organizational theory, we're going to be looking at macro level of all of these different micro components. So really, we're going to be taking an umbrella look at an organization overall, how everything works together in order to give us a better idea of how to make decisions at the upper management level. So all of these micro, or what we would call organizational behavior factors, are going to work together in order for us to predict the direction of an organization. And so as we go along through the course, you'll start to get an understanding of what the differences are between these micro things, such as a diversity training program, and more of the macro strategic components to an organization. We are going to be focusing on strategy, how different structures of an organization are going to then affect outcomes for a company. We do need to remember that when we're talking about organizational theories, these are just ideas. They're not final. They're not something that we need to memorize by heart, but we should see them as guidelines, ways that we can process the information that we are getting from our organization, from our organization's environment, from the competitors that are embedded within that environment. So taking this information and processing it, and so having theories, sort of like in that theory assignment, is going to allow us to take that information in a more systematic way so that we can actually make more strategic decisions. Because taking into account your gut feelings, what you know works in your particular area, your particular industry, is going to be a little bit different from what other people experience. We think about our theories as general knowledge and not as a well-set solution for every single problem that we encounter. And so definitely we want to think about everything that we learn in this class as something that you can use as a tool that you can put in your toolbox, but you want to use just what works for you and your company and combine the theory with your own personal experiences.